What's up, everyone? Welcome into another episode of the Scouts Radar. We appreciate everyone who watched our very first debut episode. I'm Ben Spicer, welcoming everyone into our second episode of the show. We've got Mike Morris, R.L. Martin, and Marc Henry joining us here. The crew is back for another week, and it's a big week.
What it do?
What's up, everyone? How y'all doing?
What's good? Holding it down. What's up? What's up, baby? What's going down?
Well, glad to have y'all back. Glad to be back. And football is back. So,
I want to cut in and say this: we are just so privileged and happy to have Ben Showtime Spicer at the head of this show, man. I just want to thank you, Ben. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're glad that you guys got the angles right this week. We can see more of you.
Hey, man.
When we get chewed out enough, I learned the lesson. I learned my lesson.
Oh, man. You got sent to detention last week.
That's it.
Good first episode, though. We talked about 20 prospects from around the state of Texas that we feel is going to have a big impact on Friday nights. Well, I guess Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. I'm still trying to get used to that. We only play on Friday nights back in Kentucky, but y'all take your football a little more seriously here. So I'm still trying to get accustomed to that, but we're going to trim it down a little bit on this week's show. We've only got 8 prospects, so 2 each that we picked out. And at the end of the show, we'll kind of wrap things up and talk about everyone's expectations. And I'm also kind of curious where you guys will be for the first week of high school football season. So we'll touch on that a little bit coming up. But let's go ahead and jump right into the prospects. Y'all ready?
Ben, real quick, before we start off, I know a lot of athletes were messaging after the first episode. They obviously want to be spotlight, things like that. They want to know what they can do to change. There are a couple messages I want to start off with before we even kick this episode off. For the athletes that are out there, there's really 2 things, right? Your social media is a business tool, and you have to treat it like it's a business tool. Whatever you like, we can see. Whatever you retweet, we can obviously see, right? But also use it as a gauge to where you need to be, right? So it's a platform builder. But don't sit there and be tied in the social media thing to where you're worried about what other people are getting and why you're not getting that same love, right? Everybody moves at a different pace, and everybody sees that. Whether you're 5'11", 6'1", you move different ways, your speed's the same. Everybody's at a different pace. I say that to say this. Just because your offers haven't hit heavy now doesn't mean they won't. So continue the grind and stay at it, because that's the biggest key is all these guys get so depressed and get, fed up with like, oh man, my recruitment's not where it wants to be. I'm just going to stop. It's not for me. Don't think like that. Everybody comes at a different time. Just because your moment isn't right now doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So continue the grind.
That was well said, RL. Marc, anything you guys want to add? Have you guys gotten any feedback or anything you wanted to address?
I talked to, matter of fact, we talked about it. We touched on it last week. And the coach that I did send that information to was real adamant. I asked him a couple questions, and the number one question he had was, recruits, remember, when you're making your Twitter, everything Mike said is great. All of that feeds into what coaches see. Make sure that your Twitter name is your name somehow. Because if your name is Ben Spicer and you go by Showtime's something, that's not your name. They have a hard time trying to find you. That's just a little tidbit that I've heard from multiple coaches. So I mean, if you can do it somehow, put an underscore in there somehow or another, keep your name in your Twitter name.
Absolutely.
I would just backdoor both of those tidbits as far as when you put your film together. I think the sequencing of your film is super important for the film that I watched. The film that I watched on the guys today, what separates them is the sequencing, and I'm going to talk about that in each one. It's a couple of guys that I really thought had the splash plays that I was talking about last week. When you put these things together, you have to have it formatted, and it has to be no more than about 3 minutes, because after that, coaches tend to lose interest in that. And don't worry about the music. I think we talked about that as well. I mean, everybody likes the Lil Babies and, Lil Durks or whatever. And, me, I'm more of a screwed up click guy or something like that. But
already.
I can't help it. That's the way I'm, you know what I'm saying? I always gonna shout out to Apes, you know what I'm saying? It's a Texas thing. But what I'm saying is to be short and quick is the sequencing of your plays. Make sure that it's splash plays and things that catch the attention. And the guys that we selected tonight, those guys have that, and you'll see that definitely in the footage as it comes through.
That makes it so much easier on me, the video editor, because then I can just pull your footage and just drop it right into the show, and we're good to go. I'll have to search for all your highlights. So it's easier on me, too. Anything else you guys want to say? You guys ready to jump in?
Let's jump right in.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
We're going to start off with a mega hybrid player, to say the least. This guy, it seems like he can play anywhere on the defensive side of the ball. I'm talking about Esteban Guillory. He's got a lot he brings to the table, and it doesn't matter what position he's playing, guys.
Esteban Guillory, he is like you said, a hybrid outside linebacker safety over at Cornerstone here in San Antonio. Kid stands about 6'1". He might be about 6'2" now, about 185. So he is the typical size that colleges are looking for at corner and at safety. The thing that really stands out to me about Esteban is his football IQ is through the roof. Being that he plays that position, he leads the defense from that position. Usually everybody thinks about, that middle linebacker will do it, whatever. No, Esteban leads that defense from there. His footwork is great. He does come downhill with bad intentions, but he can also cover. That's the great thing about him. He has good hands. Like I said, his footwork is great. Technique is great. One thing that I noticed just from talking to the kid is that I know his dad very well, and football runs in the family. So the thing that really gets me that I know about Esteban is that he watches football. He studies the game. There's always, he's already knowing to look at film. He already knows to pay attention to all of that, to the minor details of his opponent that he's going to be playing that week. So, I mean, great things coming from him this season, I believe. I believe he'll probably get a few more offers, if not, I would say probably about 6 or 7 once everybody realizes how good this kid can be.
I think it's more than that. There's more than just how good he can be. It's how versatile he already is. You know, when we watch him from youth ball, he was a gritty player, right? Always played with a chip on his shoulder. And then as he developed through the years, he's learned to hone some skills, fine tune, if you will. And what he's done with that is made him, a tremendous commodity for that defense. A lot of people forget though, he's a dual sport athlete. Just as he's good as on a gridiron, he's the same way on the diamond. Kid can play ball. He's a very, very, very intelligent kid with a great work ethic.
Well, taking out the tape on Esteban, I've seen Esteban coming up through the youth ranks as well. He's playing in kind of a cover 2, deep safety sometimes. Sometimes they have him a single high. But he's a playmaker, and that's the reason that they set him off like that. He comes up, like RL said, with reckless abandon to make a tackle. He's a great open field tackle. Squares up guys, even that, sometimes if he's undersized, I saw him on the tape square up a big tight end and got right in his chest. The way you teach it, you chin up, head up, butt down, and he dropped the hammer on him. He's a playmaker as well when he gets the ball in his hands. He's trying to take it for 6. So, I was very impressed with Esteban's tape. I had watched him last year against Deion Sanders and Trinity when they went down to play, and there was a nationally televised game, and I watched that, and I was very impressed with him. Then, like RL said, he's got room to grow. If you're looking for a safety that's ready to make at the next level, that's coming in and ready to be a playmaker, then Esteban Guillory is your guy.
Starting things off with a big defensive presence, our next player is nicknamed Big Smooth. A perfect transition as we go now to a defensive lineman from Duncanville, Omari Abor. He was just named the Dallas Morning News Defensive Player of the Year in the preseason. Duncanville obviously has high expectations to make a deep run. We told you about Jordyn last week. We've got another defensive player from Duncanville on the list this week. What do you all see and what Abor brings?
This was one that I omitted when I started looking at players, and he's smooth for a reason. I watched the sophomore tape to the junior tape. He just jumped off of the tape, man. Big improvement as far as his strength and quickness. the ability to get off that corner, and he's nasty with it. His arms, he extends them well. You know, he controls those big offensive tackles when he's trying to, they call it shedding. You know, he wants to shed the block and find him. You going either right or left. And then he chased down plays very well. I mean, he has a motor. And those are things that you're looking for. And I mean, we're talking about a guy that was first team all district in 2020, defensive player of the year in 2019, offers from Ohio State, LSU, OU, UT, Bama, Oregon even stepped in and has offered this guy. So it's the sky's the limit for him. You know, this is a guy that has next level talent, and he's ready to play at the next level right now.
Absolutely. Dude should be nicknamed Cadillac. I mean, big, smooth. You know, Cadillac got that CTSV, hitting gears, changing up. I mean, that's big, smooth, and that's a spot on nickname.
One thing that I will say is that the kid's name, I won't even say kid, this young man has made a name for himself. You can look at the offer list and tell he's the real deal. We're being here down in Central South Texas. He's up there in North Texas, and for a name like that to stick out to where it reaches all the way down here, he's got something. He's got something. The offers tell the truth.
Yeah, and I mean, that was just a short list. You know, he's also he's a trench hunter. Shout out to my guy, Coach Tucker from Trench Warfare. He's raised up through the ranks over there. So he's got, you know, the coaching at Duncanville and the coaching that he receives with Coach Tucker over there. And, you know, he's must-see TV, as we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. He gets it done. You know, I look for big things. I got a big one with Modern Day, and he's going to be on prime time with his action.
Spotlight is on, that's for sure. We'll see what he does.
Yeah, big-time opportunity week one to showcase his abilities. A little unconventional pick, at least from last week's list. We did not see a special teams player on our week last week, but we've got some good kickers, punters, long snappers in the Lone Star State, of course, as well. So we wanted to highlight one, Tate Sandell out of Fort Neches-Groves, a kicker that Mike had on his list. So what can you tell us about him?
Man, so this kid, super poised, pressure situations, calm as can be. He's a nationally ranked athlete. He's actually a 5-star kicker. The reason why he's on this list, and no shade to anybody else that should be on this list, right? Because I know everybody feels like they should be on this list. When the game is on the line and it's literally a neck and neck game, you rely on your kicker, and everybody says, "Man, that's all you do is you just kick. How can you miss a kick? How can you?" This kid under pressure situations has shown up consistently. You know, you guys know that the school he's at from is out there in the Beaumont area, right? By Beaumont, Port Arthur. So there's no shorter ballers out there. And this kid he's the real deal. Smooth leg, cold as ice.
Well, he's a left-footed kicker, which you don't see very often, and he's a weapon. All kinds of touchbacks last year. I mean, it's so bad that the ref just starts calling out moving the chains right here if you look at the tape, because he already knows that they're not getting a return out of this. And the guys that are back return just kind of look over their head and get ready to run to the sideline. He's a weapon at that position, you know, a specialist. And then the thing you look for at a kicker for the next level is accuracy and leg strength, which he has. You know, he's good. He's automatic from less than 30. And when he goes back, he's got the strength to make it. But he's definitely, you know, a primed weapon for the next level. You know, he should be heavily sought after down there in the Beaumont, Port Arthur area.
Absolutely.
For you to get a 5-star ranking at a kicker, you're something special. Everybody, and just like you were saying, Mike, everybody looks at it like, oh, this is a kicker. All they do at practice is they go out there and kick. They do this. Okay, I want some of y'all to try to kick a 30-yard field goal. Then I want you to try to kick a 30-yard field goal in the middle of a game when you're down 2 points and you got a game-winning kick and you've got 11 guys that are rushing at you, one diving right in front of you, right at your feet. Touchbacks all day long. All of the things that you want to look for, especially that strong leg. And like Mike was saying, that poise in the pressure situations. It can get a lot stressful out there. This guy shows game after game that he can definitely make those kicks, and that's why he is a 5-star.
Obviously a big asset to have at the high school level, and I think he's going to make a college coach very happy when he's able to
very happy
level.
Yep.
That's such a weapon and such a part of the game that I think often gets overlooked at the high school level. But when you have someone like that out there, it can be huge for your team, and I think we're going to see that for his school throughout the season this year. Want to move?
Just one more thing on there, Ben. We already put out a tweet. We're looking for kickers, punters, and those deep snappers.
Yep.
We need to get y'all's film sent in to us as well, so we can get that out there. Coaches do ask.
Absolutely, they do.
All right, guys. Next up was a kid that, and like RL said, not really a kid, a young man, a grown man at times out there on the field, the way he plays. He was hard to leave off of our first list, and he was right on the cusp of making it for me. I'm talking about Devon Campbell, offensive lineman from Arlington, Bowie, listed as 6'3", 310 pounds, and he can move.
Well, this is a guy that when he gets his paws on you, like they say they're going to put them paws on you. He gets his paws. Hey, when he puts his paws on you, you're not going nowhere. You ever, been trying to glue, when you was in elementary school, the glue sticks and you couldn't get it off your hands? Once he puts his mitts on you, you're not going nowhere. He going to drive you wherever you go, like driving Miss Daisy. And Devon Campbell fits the bill. When I have these conversations, if you want to call them barbershop conversations, in the DFW, the talent starts when you go past 360 and you're going east. And he's right on the cusp, that Arlington, Grand Prairie, you start going further east into the Dallas area. This guy's legit. He also jumps on the defensive side sometimes and is a space eater over there. But I think he's going to make his living along the offensive line. We're talking about a guard tackle that's ready for the next level. He was, heavy interest from UT and several other schools. That school up north, the OWL, they like to come down here and steal our players. They've been on his list as well. But we're talking about a young man that can run as well. If you look at the tape, there was a play against Grand Prairie last year where he led his quarterback all the way down the field. I didn't see no other receivers in the camera. The quarterback was going, and he was right behind him, so he can move. He likes to pull, and he likes to cause havoc and wreak havoc. And, Devon Campbell is definitely on the scouts' radar.
I don't have nothing else to add to that. That's tip-top to the point of every commodity that you can name with this kid. Reliable, quick, versatile. You said it all.
I'll just kind of amplify a couple things that Mark just said. When it comes down to an old lineman that can move, that has the speed to move. I mean, not just moving laterally, but a young man that can pull and run down the field as well. That's what coaches love to see, man. If you have that, plus you can block, you can pass block, you can pull, you can run block. You're getting all of that stuff. You're checking all of those boxes. That helps a lot. So, man, y'all make sure that you're working on your technique. This young man right here, man, I'm telling y'all, I hope he doesn't go up there across that river Mark was talking about, because I would love to see him in that burnt orange.
He already wearing it. Why not keep going?
Hey, you heard it. You heard it from the man himself. Here it goes.
Hook him.
Oh my goodness.
All right, halfway through the shorter list this week, so we've got 4 more names that we want to throw up there. And next up, we've got Rayshon Sanford II, who has been an impact player in his first 2 years of varsity play, now entering his junior season. And we're expecting even bigger things out of him over these next 2 years, guys.
Well, this is the one that I was talking about, and Ariel and I have had several conversations about this.
Goodness.
This is now when we were talking earlier at the beginning of the show about sequencing your plays. He comes out of the gate with like an 80-yard touchdown, and there's nobody else in the screen on the tape. If you go back and look at it, and his form, I love. When he gets out, Eric Dickerson used to run straight up and people would talk about it. But you never saw Eric Dickerson get walked down. That might be outdating some of the other people. But, Eric Dickerson used to run like a deer. You know what I'm saying? And he was out of it. CU, Texas, SMU, and the LA Rams. Go back and look at the tape. But anyway, This man is must-see TV as well. I love the way he sequences plays. He can go from anywhere. And the thing that if you watch the tape on him, he's about 5'9". And usually when you see guys that are diminutive or they're quicker or faster. They want to run sideline to sideline, east to west. This is a north-south runner at his best right now at the high school level.
Right.
And he picked up an offer from Texas Southern a couple months ago, and that's when he kind of got on our radar. Shout out to Coach Grant at Fury 7-on-7. This is one of his guys, man, and we happen to see this guy on the 7-on-7 circuit as well. But he is a north-south runner, one cut up the field, and he goes. And his leg drive is one thing that I jumped out on the tape. So I bet, I would be curious to see him on the squat rack and the power clean. I bet he's at least 400 pounds. That leg drive is serious.
Now, keep this in mind. This is all before any college coaches have even had an opportunity to work with the kid. That's going to change the game completely. Strength, flexibility, the speed, the knowledge. I mean, all of it's going to be changing. Huge, huge, huge future for this kid.
This young man, Rashawn, matter of fact, I messaged him this week because I don't know if y'all paid attention, but Rashawn just posted a video of the very first play of the scrimmage.
I saw it.
The very first play of the scrimmage the other day, he goes 70, 80 yards.
Out the gate. And that's what you want to see. And those are the type of things, that we've been harping on. When you're sending your film apart, what separates you from the next guy? Because we're talking about Harker Heights at Central Texas,
right,
close to between Austin and San Antonio, clean area, something like that.
Yeah.
That's a difficult area that doesn't get the recruiting eyes on them like DFW and Houston, the more publicized area. For now. But that's the reason we got the scouts radar. But this kid, he fits the bill. It'll be tough for Texas Southern to hold on to him once out of this season is over with. I expect big things from Rashawn this year.
It's going to be hard for them to keep that. It's going to be real hard for them to keep that, man. Because right now, if you look at it, the boxes that he checks, he has that long range speed. He has a burst that is just out of this world. When he puts his foot in the ground, he's taking off and he's at max speed real quick. His sidestep, his cuts, his vision, his awareness, it's just so much about this young man to where when he gets, like you said, and he was on my radar last year. At the beginning of last year, I saw the video of this kid, what he did, and I was like, okay, well, who is this kid coming up and who is he? What school is he going to go to graduating? No, he's a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I was not expecting for his game as a running back to be as polished as it is right now.
I tell you what, man, if you guys could hear the conversations that RL and I have had leaving games, driving back, we've traveled across the state of Texas. And then driving back to San Antonio, we've had some in-depth conversations about some athletes that we've seen. And we could have made enough to fill a whole season worth of podcasts and different episodes and the kids are starting to come back up because there were kids that we saw on the radar, just like we talked about last week with Aiden and Estes Rodriguez, right? We turn around and we see this kid as a freshman, and he's always stayed on the radar. We watch him work through the progress, and you see where he's at. Senior year is about to be an explosive year for that kid. The same thing holds true here. We say it all the time. You're excited for their future because if they could see themselves 5 years from now, they would understand the platform that they have right now. And it's huge. It's very, very promising. So super excited for this kid.
Let me ask a question outside the box here. And I'm talking to Ben and Mark, because this conversations that we've had. Where do you see a player like Rashawn playing, Mark?
If he continues to progress,
in a single back, or you're going to put him in a system with two backs, or
I think he fits a system that's probably going to be more of a spread dominated system. But I think he could be your classic I back if you're looking at a Nebraska or something. It depends on if he puts on the weight, gets in a good weight program and continues to develop. Like I said, he's a north-south runner, and you don't see that at the high school level.
Yeah.
Even at the youth level, when you see kids, a lot of times coaches put the fastest guy, they toss it to him and expect him to outrun the defense. And that's not the way that, I would coach or teach the running back position. You need to learn your holes, learn your keys.
Right.
You get on that tackle's butt and you follow him until you open the space, and he does
Right.
that. Shout out to his offensive line and the scheme that they run. He also catches the ball out of the backfield.
Good
if you
hand.
look at the tape, there's a wheel route that he's all alone by himself up the sideline, and he catches it and walks in. So he seems to have an IQ that's not at the high school level that you see in running backs. But I think he fits into a system like a Baylor, Texas Tech. If you don't know about this guy, he fits the perfect offense for Texas Tech. Even
That's
OU, even though I don't like the Sooners, I mean, they've always had those type of running backs that catch the ball well. If you remember
that kid,
Quentin Griffin, perfect example.
Yeah. Well, do you guys remember a kid a couple years ago played over at what was it? How was it? Midway. James Fulbright. Remember James Fulbright? Got a PW over University of Houston. That's how this kid runs. North-South, knows his football. I mean, it's a gritty kid. That's exactly how he plays. It's just like James Fulbright.
Right.
Good deal. I'm expecting big things out of him this season, man. And we're definitely, Rashawn, if you see this, we are definitely trying to get up there to a game. And I need you to get those old linemen to follow us, because I saw some blocks on there that they definitely need some recognition for.
Absolutely do.
Agreed.
And I feel like he's versatile enough. You can line him up in the slot. He can get those jet sweeps, things like that, to the outside. But the thing that stands out to me that I see and that you guys pointed out is, he's a speed back. He's got a lot of speed, but he's not afraid to take it between those tackles. And I think that's going to be that attribute that sets him apart from a lot of other kids, frankly, at that position heading into college.
Yeah.
Well, next up, you guys mentioned speed. This guy definitely checks those boxes because he's not only a football star, he is a track star as well. I'm talking about B.J. Allen from Aledo, defensive back, who is also an elite talent when it comes to track and field.
Well, B.J. has been on my radar for a while. I saw him come up through the ranks in the Aledo program, and he's as advertised. All you have to do is walk on the field, and you notice number 7 when you see him. He's going to make his money on the defensive side of the ball, but he also hops on the offensive side of the ball from time to time. If you look at the tape, when they want a big play at the receiver position, this was, even when JoJo Earl and Jason Clinton were there, BJ would hop on the offensive side. But he's going to make his money. He's a 4- or 5-star safety, committed to the University of Texas. Hook him, had to throw that in there. You talk about the track speed. As a junior, he was on the 4x1 and the 4x2 for Aledo. His 222.79 is nothing to sneeze at. We're talking about a kid that can do it. This was as a sophomore. In 2019, he was 5'5" D2 defensive newcomer of the year. They've won 8 state championships, 9 state championships over at Aledo. So he's used to winning over there. Shout out to Coach Wood and Coach Buck and those guys over there. This is what they do. They don't rebuild, they reload. And it's kind of like the Friday Night Lights at Aledo. If you've never been to a game, you got the kids running around, you see a high school game, they're running around playing football, playing tag, doing this. But when it comes time for Aledo to score, they have all eyes focused on this. This is one of the towns that shuts down for football.
Yeah. It's
Aledo. The Bearcat Nation is thick and they roll deep. But BJ is a catalyst in that secondary over there. We're talking about a guy that can make the plays. He can come down and cover in nickel packages as well. But he's a great tackler in open field, and this is why he's ranked, in his class as a top safety in the country, not just in the state of Texas.
The good thing about a kid like BJ is that, aside from the fact that he's an outstanding athlete, right? Super humble kid. A lot of people see kids that come from these big time organizations, these big time groups and schools, where winning is pedigree, right? It's something that's consistent. Then the question comes up is how can they handle adversity, right? What did they do in adverse moments? A kid like him is super humble to where he centers himself before he continues. I don't know if that makes sense, but he doesn't allow adverse moments to hold him down, nor does he allow the explosive moments and the continuous of winning to cloud his head. He stays centered and he knows the mission and he continues. Kid like that, those intangibles you really can't teach. You can try to develop them through the years, but at this level of where he's at, and he already has it, That's a big plus. That means regardless of what he has in his future, whether it's sports or not, he's going to be a successful person.
I'm gonna give a shout out right quick to my boy Coach Sean Lewis over there at UT.
What's up, Sean?
But I want to say this about BJ, and I had when you look at his film, it definitely puts me back in scouts mode, to where I analyze his film as a scout and as what a coach is looking at. BJ has size. He definitely has speed. Now, BJ has speed on the track, but BJ's football speed is something that is just different. When he recognizes a play and he puts his foot in the ground, they think they're going to get 5 yards and they end up getting 1 because he's there so fast. His overall reaction to a play is just, it's elite. It's elite. And that's something that Texas is definitely going to benefit from as well, getting another safety there. Because, hey, shout out to my boy Stern, but he left. So now we got another one coming in that I think that fits that mold, but he's a lot faster, a lot more mobile. And definitely one thing that really sticks out about BJ is he attacks the ball in the air. He's going 10 yards, 15 yards across the field. He gets there, and then he attacks the ball in the air. Great things coming from him at UT over there. I believe we're going to be hearing his name a lot on Saturdays.
Hey, he's an Earl Thomas type playmaker. If that puts
Right.
anything in perspective from the safety position, he could hop back and return kicks. He does it all. I mean, this is a guy that was on the scouts radar, and we had so many guys last week that jumped on, and he was a guy that should have been on it, and he's on it this week, heading into week 0, of the his senior year, and they're expecting big things out of him in a leadership role. And then another tidbit I'll share with you: he got a chance to play with his brother last year, who was a freshman All-American as a corner. So it's in his blood. It's in the lineage, in the Allen in the Allen household, you have 2 All-Americans in the secondary. That's rare.
Got it.
Definitely. We'll have to keep our eyes out on him. We've got another defensive back now that we're going to turn our attention to, and that's Jaylon at Guilbeau Memorial High School. So what attributes does he possess that make him stand out as a defensive back?
I'll tell you what.
Super
Go ahead,
smart.
Mark.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
He's
good.
super
Go ahead.
smart. Hey, this is the type of corner that don't fall for the okie doke. And when I say the okie doke, you're not going to get him with the double move. I watched his tape. He's right there in front of you. He's going to put his hand on you, and he's going to redirect that receiver. Several times during his tape, you see that, and he's tough. And I like that in the corner. You're not going to get him with the okie doke, the crap plays. You have to really fool him to get by him. And that's, that was a great selection coming out of the Port Arthur area. Shout out to PA. That's UGK territory. You know what I'm saying? So you know it. You know what I mean? So this guy is definitely repping Port Arthur Memorial, and 5'11", 175. They're looking for those guys at the next level, and he fits the bill. Tough, hard-nosed corner, and not afraid to come up and thump. Then that's what you're looking for in a corner.
Absolutely. He's, if I'm not mistaken, he's a 4-star athlete. He's got like 24 offers. So he recently decommitted from UT, but UT's not out of the running for him. So he's looking at Texas A&M, TCU, I believe, and UT as well. The 2 big things I like about him, Jaylon, his hips, super fluid in the hip work, and incredibly strong. So usually when you have an athlete that's a DB that's incredibly strong, the hips are kind of suspect, something you got to work with. He's got both of those. So he's got fluid hips and he's strong. But one of the best commodities this kid has is the fact that when he's in break, his technique when he breaks off is spot on. He doesn't forget the T-step. He don't slip up. He squares up quick, and he's ready to attack. He's got the ball hog mentality, just an absolute dog on the defensive side of the ball. I look for a lot of big things to happen with Jaylon, regardless of what school he goes to. I know Mark's pulling for the UT thing. I know all these UT fans want to bring him back in. But in all honesty, he'd fit really, really well with Texas A&M's defense.
One thing that stands out with me about Jaylon is short and sweet, is looking at his film. Look at the first 3 plays as to how physical he is. He doesn't play like he's 5'11". He plays like he's about 6'2". and he has the skills that really cover up those 1 or 2 inches that he gives up to maybe a 6'2" or 6'3" receiver. He's physical. He has the technique to play the position, and he knows where the ball is.
Right.
It's just something that a lot of people have to try to learn that over time, but some people are gifted with it. And it seems to me like Jaylon is gifted with knowing where the ball is, and he's real physical. I love that about Jaylon. Love that.
All right, guys, our final prospect that we want to talk about on episode 2 of the Scouts Radar is a kid who, if he was a stock on the New York Stock Exchange, I probably would have invested my life savings in this kid because it has just skyrocketed over the last couple months. I'm talking about Jordyn Tyson. Now, we could have mentioned several of his teammates at his new school in Allen, but I actually changed my answer to Tyson because it seemed like every week, and we saw him a lot at our 7-on-7 tournaments. He was repping 940 Elite. But every week it's like this kid is making incredible plays. I think he had like 22 touchdowns in 7 games in a span at one of our tournaments in Houston. Just ridiculous. And he finally got the attention that he deserved, ended up committing to Colorado. But I think he's a guy who's going to make Coach Morris at Allen very, very happy. And I can't wait to see how he's utilized there in that offense.
This is a guy that's on the Scouts radar because he worked for it. We had the introduction. Shout out to Coach Dunn and 940 Elite. We'll save that for next week's show, Ben. But you know what I'm saying. We'll talk about it next week. But Jordyn Tyson is a receiver that can not only go get it, but he has the hands to go with it and the speed that people don't understand that he possessed. And he can go deep with it. Colorado came in and stirred up the gumbo and lifted a player out of here that we definitely know is capable of playing at the next level. We're talking about a guy that, in the days of when Colorado used to have Eric Bieniemy, Charles Johnson and those guys, and they recruited Texas heavy. I think Darren Cheverini's a guy over there at Colorado that I think, dips in Texas. And they stole one here. We're talking about a guy that's committed to Colorado that could definitely pick up more offers. And I know he will once he gets in that Allen offense. But, shout out to Coach Dunn and 940 Elite for really helping this kid get out there. And that's what the Scouts Radar is about as well, is discovering talent that's unseen. We're definitely going to talk about the guys that are, the 4 and 5 star, but this is a gem that was hidden that came out, and he flourished whenever he got a chance to step on the field and go against 4 and 5 star DBs every week all over the country. And that exposure is very important when it comes out to getting in front of the right eyes. They got eyes on him. Shout out to Jordyn and congratulations on the Colorado commitment. The Buffalo's getting one here.
We'll go with him, with Jordyn, man. And I remember seeing him on the 7-on-7 circuit. Just the receiver really that stands out on the football field. In a 7-on-7 game, he's got to be accounted for. And like you said, Mark, you're playing against other 3, 4, 5 star DBs, and for you to come up with multiple touchdowns in a weekend against elite talent, day in and day out, game in and game out, that shows a lot about Jordyn. Smooth. One thing that I love about Jordyn is how, and we touched on this the other day, is his hands. We touched on it the other day when we were talking about Boogie. Jordyn has the physical physique to I guess keep his space when he jumps so the DBs can't come in there and knock it out of his hands. I love that about Jordyn. I just love a route runner, and I love someone with strong hands that goes up and snatch the ball, and you're not gonna get it away from him.
I think it's more like he's methodical, right? It's when he's lined up and the play's called, it's in his head, like repetitive, just in his head of what he's gonna do. So when he goes to execute, that's why it looks so flawless, because it's already been played in his head so many times and exactly what he's gonna do. That level of confidence you can't teach. So, I mean, that says a lot about the kid.
And he's already getting comfortable up in Allen. I saw some of the scrimmage tape flying around on social media from him this past week, and he's already getting comfortable over there. So, 6A football better be on the lookout. Allen's got another top receiver, and the Pac-12 should be on notice as well when he hits when he hits the Colorado, man, he's going to be definitely tearing up the Pac-12 for years to come.
I agree. He's one of those players, you see guys and it's like sometimes the defense knows what's coming and they still can't stop it. He's one of those players, I can't tell you guys, him and Boogie during 7-on-7 season when I would go to their games, there would be formations they would come out with or, looks that they would send out on the field and I'd say, okay, he's getting the ball. And I put the camera on him. And I mean, sometimes he'd have two guys on him and still find a way to come down with the ball. It was insane. And I'm so glad that he's finally starting to get some credit and getting his name out there because he's definitely a guy who deserves it. Before we wrap up, I'm just curious. Let's talk a little bit about where you guys are going to be this weekend, what games you're going to go to. I know we've got a busy week, but I'm just curious where you guys are planning on making stops at this week.
Well, our game of the week for RL and myself, it's a no-brainer. In all honesty, DeSoto is coming down to San Antonio area when they're taking on Converse Judson. Two schools with huge history in the state of Texas when it comes to football. Multiple champions. It's like the type of athletes that they breed is unreal. You can look in the NFL now. You Google it. You'll see the history of the athletes that are coming in and still playing in the NFL. That's the type of game we're gonna have. A couple of things I'm looking forward though. We just talked about Stephon Boogie Johnson. He's gonna be out there. Remember Alan Caracheo? He's back over at Converse Judson. You got Anthony Evans, Traylon Payne. I mean, it's gonna be one for the books. So look for a lot of highlights to come out of this game.
Like you said, yeah, we're gonna be there. That'll be Friday night here in Converse Judson. Right. One that I'm looking forward to seeing, and of course everybody knows the names that Mike just said, but my boy Jonte. I'm waiting to see what Jonte's gonna do because I'm really thinking that Jonte's gonna have a huge year this year. Now that he can't draw all the attention because you got to pay attention to Boogie. I'm really waiting to see that. And then on Thursday night we're gonna hit up two games. Thursday night we're gonna go and check out Samuel Clemens and the Madison Mavericks. We're gonna go over there and see what's going on in Shirts Cibolo. Yep. See what's going on there. Shout out to my boy Isaiah Edwards, another big kid, linebacker prospect over there that definitely is going to be drawing some attention. And they got some offensive weapons over there that we're going to let y'all know about in the near future.
Mark, what do you have for us?
Probably going to check out the Duncanville Modern Day game. We all had put in to see last month to get those credentials. I want to see if Duncanville can match the intensity of this game, the magnitude of it. It's a big game that's coming out. The Matter Day's coming all the way from Cali, one of the top programs in the country, not just in coming to Texas, but can they handle that kind of aggressive nature? Because I don't know if you guys saw on social media, Duncanville's ready. They took on North Crowley this past week in the scrimmage, and they had to shut it down early. If that tells you anything, that Duncanville was just manhandling the other team. They shut it down because it just wasn't no use of, it wasn't a great matchup for North Crowley. And North Crowley is a 6A program that's mostly known for basketball state championships, but they've been getting some talent over there recently. And Duncanville just went over there and little boy at them, if that tells you anything. So I think that they're ready. I think that they're ready, and I look for them to match up well with Modern Day. It's going to be coming down to the quarterback position for Duncanville to see, who's shaking out. They had a kid transfer, of course, to Canada. That's also a top baseball prospect. You still got the running game and those physical offensive linemen. We talked about Big Smooth already, and they still have that man in the middle, Jordan Crook, who's I think is playing with a chip on the shoulder to prove that he can do it without, his running mate Kendrick Blackshear back there with him. We're talking about two of the best linebackers to come through Duncanville in a while. I think this is going to be must-see TV. Everybody and their mama's going to be in there. So, to get your popcorn ready. And then the second game we were talking about before we started the show that I'm thinking about going to is Argyle and Nolan Catholic. Nolan Catholic is one of the top TAPS 6A programs in the state. They came up short against Parish Episcopal last year in the state championship. But they reloaded. They got two of the best defensive ends in the country, not just in Texas. Curly Thomas is committed to California. He's going out west. to play in the Pac-12. And then you got Caleb James. If you don't know his name, you need to know him, man. He's 6'4", 6'5". We're talking about a class of 2023. I had a chance to meet him as a freshman. The Top Texas Prospects hosted the Nolan Catholic Media Day a couple years ago, and I had a chance to meet Caleb then, and he had the buzz coming up through the youth ranks. But these two guys are definitely dominant. Jackson Reed is a guy that many people may not know too. He's a DB that's undersized, but he's probably one of the toughest characters on that defense. And I've been following him for a couple of years, and he's going to be toting the rock a little bit. He's a small guy, but he's got a big heart. He's right in the same breath with the technician, but he fights his tail off, and he's going to get a chance to tote the rock over there for Nolan. But Argyle is a machine. If you don't know about these guys, it's a 4A program, and I think Argyle is showing some nuts by stepping out to face a program like Nolan Catholic, and they know that in some spaces, and when they get these matchups, they're going to be overmatched because Nolan is definitely one of the top taps programs in the state. But Argyle is a machine. They're well coached. They fundamentally sound at everything that they do, and they have that pedigree, and they're used to winning, and they have a winning culture at the 4A level. They beat La Vega twice last year, which was big because, I'm in a pick segment with the Star Telegram, which I'll be in there again this year. And I picked La Vega the first time, and I picked La Vega the second time, and they beat them. And so they shut me up real quick. But Argyle is on the map.
You didn't learn your lesson, did you?
Well, you can't pick against teams that believe they're going to win every time that they step on that.
It's all right. Fam, it's all right, because I'm about to put you on the spot as soon as you get done, bro. I'm about to put you on the spot.
Let's hear it. Put me on the spot.
I'm about to put. No, Ben, you can't laugh either because y'all are up there in that area. I want predictions. Duncanville, from the Duncanville game, I want a prediction right here on Scouts Radar.
Okay.
Mark Henry on the mark, and Ben Spicer are making a prediction. Who you got?
I'm going with Duncanville. I'm never going to go against Texas. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? In modern days, got all the lineage. They're a private school, so they can tap into the multitude of whatever recruiting, if that's what you want to call it.
It's a select team.
But I think this, I've always rooted for Coach Samples since he was at Lincoln and he's at Skyline. And, he's a great coach over there. And those guys are ready to do this. Like I said, I talked about the scrimmage last week. When have you ever heard of a high school scrimmage being stopped because the other team was just physically better than another team? That says volumes to me about this guy's mentality. I talked about last week on the Scouts Radar that their weight program is second to none over there at Duncanville. You can walk in there anytime in Duncanville and the click-clacking from the weights is going on. The music is loud. And it's one of those old school musty weight rooms where, you can smell boys working out in there. You know it's going down. And Duncanville going to take down Cali and send them back home. They're going to be going. They're going to be like LL Cool J. They're going back to Cali.
Ben, what you got?
After the warfare that we saw on Twitter with that journalist, and he had that little crappy, whatever that California stadium was, and he was like, "Oh,
you saw that mess."
Come on, man.
Not even close.
I know. Come on, bro. What are you talking about? And so, just with all that, California and Texas, that's always been sort of the argument alongside with Florida. I'm going to get run out of town if I don't pick Duncanville, but I honestly do believe, aside from that they have the talent, as Mark said. The physicality is a thing. They've got so many players coming back from a team who made a deep run last year in the last couple of years. So I think they're going to be hungry. I know they do have a new quarterback, but I think that defense is going to lead them to a close win. I've got Duncanville 28-21.
Ooh. Well, I think a lot, Duncanville caught a lot of heat, from people, social media, and just the talk last year when they lost to IMG. But you got to think, here's the thing with COVID and everything going around, the difference was IMG had already played 4 games. That was Duncanville's first real game, not even counting the scrimmage. And so they kind of ran into a buzzsaw, and that makes a difference in strategically, in shape, and then dealing with the Texas heat and the magnitude of that game. This time, I think that they will be ready because this has been building up, and they in Duncanville at Panther Stadium. So it's going to be it's going to be must see TV. This is going to be a big time matchup, and not just our eyes, but we're talking about USA Today and nationally. A lot of eyes are going to be on this game.
Now, I think, too, Mater Dei had a couple games canceled because of COVID, so I don't know that they've played yet.
Their first game, I think, got canceled, Centennial.
So that's a factor as well. Maybe, they're not as game ready as IMG was last year. And let's be honest, IMG, I'm pretty sure that's like a lab. I think they create some of these kids. It's just
shout out to my boy Stacey Gage.
Yeah. He's the number one running back. I don't care what the rankings say. I don't know
exactly
who against, but he's a dog.
Shout out my boy Stacey Gage over there at IMG.
Well, guys, any final thoughts before we close out the second episode of Scouts Radar?
I think we honestly stirring the pot a little bit, so we're gonna get a lot of athletes definitely wanting to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Submit your film. Scouts Radar. Submit your film. Follow us on Twitter. It's drop your film to us. We'll review it. We'll put you on the list, and we'll see what we post up here. We're not telling anybody who we talk about the next week, the next episode. So, matter of fact, for most of us on the 4 panel here, that we don't really know who's going to talk about what until we submit our list of what we want to discuss. And then once we see the list, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. So it's not really a secretive thing, but we got to kind of keep something a little reserved for ourselves. You know how it goes.
Well, I'm gonna put this out there, and I may step on some toes by doing this, but that's usually what I do because I'm a grown ass man. But I'm calling out the Valley. I got a lot of guys down there that I know. I got a lot of guys that follow us. Team Zap, all of them down there in that area. I need y'all's guys to submit this film, man. This show here, Texas. Myself, Ben Spicer, Marc Henry, we're all over the state of Texas. We've got eyes on this show, and this show is definitely meant to get these guys the exposure so that they can get seen. There's guys down there that we need to see and we need to know about. We need to find out who these kids are so we can get to a game, or either we can get their film and get them talked about on this show. So this here goes out to the Valley area, West Texas, Corpus area, all that down there. Hey, y'all get that film into us so we can get some exposure to these young men. They deserve it.
Hey, and we have our schedule already set up for what games we want to go see this year. If you think, and we're not going to release who that schedule is, we're just going to pop up. But your athletic directors know. If you want us at your game and you want us to change our mind on what game we selected, hit us up. See if we don't roll up.
And then, the big thing, like we came out with the tweet about the specialists, and we had a feature specialist on the show today. So those are not, you guys aren't being forgotten. As a former player myself, I hated kickers because they didn't run. I'm over there sweating and dog out, and they just over there kicking and they got the, the pretty boy stuff on. And then, but they can come in. They can come in and decide a game for you, whether you're a champion or whether you're going home. So, specialists get that in, get that film submitted, get on the Scouts Radar, and then you'll get featured as well.
We go.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Just to echo it, is make sure you're sending us your film as often as possible, whether it be 4 weeks into the season, 8 weeks into the season, preferably every week, so we can evaluate it. And then at the least, we're going to retweet it out and make sure we get out there to our followers. We've got a lot of big coaches that follow some of us on social media. You guys more so than me, but we'll definitely make sure that we get your film out there and get you an evaluation. Just make sure you're watching every week, and we'll give you some love if you ball out, but you got to ball out to get that love.
Oh, and don't forget, if you don't ball out, you might still be talked about. Just saying. It's all straight truth. You know what I mean? What does it say? Bitter truth before sweet lies, right? This recruitment game. We talk about your performance, good or bad, pros and cons, things you got to work on, things you did well. That's part of it. That's just the way it goes.
Well, with week 0, everybody's on the clock now, so let's get it.
Absolutely. I know.
I'll tell y'all one thing. 3 coaches that I've talked to in the past 4 days out of the Midwest area, they're watching the show. I'll just leave it at that, Ben.
All right. No pressure, guys. That's all we've got for the second episode of the Scouts Radar. We've had 2 mega lists This one's a little shorter mega list, but still telling you about the names you need to know in the state of Texas. We'll be back next week at the same time for a brand new episode as we talk about week 0 of high school football here in Texas. For RL Martin, Mike Morris, and Marc Henry, I'm Ben Spicer saying thank you for watching.
I'll let your boy.
And we'll see y'all next week.